right, here we go. What's going on, Beefcake? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. ¿Cómo está?
What's up, brother? Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. I like you got the Hulk Hogan shirt going on there. A little bit of a, you gonna rip it in half?
Oh, a little scoop. Yeah, I actually did cut that myself because the collar got all weird. And I just cut it. But
go ahead, just rip it for us. Give us a Hulk Hogan moment.
Oh no, I don't want to rip it. I like it.
Oh, okay. Well, is it one of those slick ones that you get downtown? I think you had told me about some spot downtown where you get all your t-shirts.
I don't know where I got this one.
All right. Well, I tried. I thought it would have been a moment. How you doing, man? Can we talk about your last couple of weeks, or are you kind of hanging out, holding your cards close to your chest on that one?
Oh no, let's talk about it.
All right. So Joseph Benavidez is recovered, I believe now, right? Recovering or recovered from COVID? Are you negative?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. They don't call me the COVID kid for nothing.
Yeah, so if you all recall, Joseph was going to be on with us a few weeks ago, and that was about the time things began. Tried to check in with him a few times. It looked like it was a rough one at times, Joseph, but then you're good now. You're feeling great.
Yeah, I feel fine. I honestly, didn't feel terrible when I had it. I mean, I felt sick like you do. Mainly a fever and a sore throat for me. That was kind of it. Yeah. And that was really it. And then couldn't train for a week, and then I'm still just kind of, kicking back on that for the week, just so I'm like 2 weeks solid, no symptoms before I go back, and got a lot of people fighting and stuff. So yeah. Just
I know your wife just came back from her job working with the UFC. Have you guys been able to were you negative before you could pick her up, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, luckily, by the time I got her, I was about a week, no symptoms. And, I actually didn't take another test. The second one, they just said, like, once you have no symptoms, you're kind of good to go. That was my protocol, at least.
Yeah.
So, I picked her up, and she knew she could have got it, but she was just like, well, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. Well, I'm not going to, not see you. And same way. And we're like, yeah, if you get COVID, it's not going to be that bad. We'll both have got it. It happens. But, yeah, she's been here since that Monday morning they got in at like 4 a.m. And now she's good. Healthy so far.
Good to hear. Is that a cup of Joe I see?
But yeah, oh yeah.
You guys make your own coffee, right? I know it's been a while since we talk about this. You still doing that? Things kind of change up every time I talk to you about coffee, but I know you're a coffee connoisseur.
Every day, I make this cappuccino. I use specially ordered beans that are from a roaster in Brooklyn, considered the best roaster in the nation, called Say Coffee. And the guy actually works with Megan in sound or something in the studio. But it's a coffee shop in Brooklyn. I usually get those beans, and make it on my espresso. Make these little.
Cool. You said you've been doing some training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm still training every week. As much as I want, which is good. Yeah.
When we talked to Megan, she mentioned that she wouldn't be shocked if you got back in there sooner rather than later. Have you had time to process the last fight, and when you do want to get back, or do you want to just continue to maybe chill for now?
No, originally I wanted to take some time off, and I'm doing that still. I know pretty quickly after the fight, UFC is great. They want to take care of me and make sure I want to fight, and if I want to fight, I could get in there. If not, it's not a big deal. So, they hit me up directly, and they're like, hey, we don't know how you're feeling, but we want to make sure you don't want to fight. We're booking fight. for the end of the year, and I made the decision there that like I knew in my mind I didn't want to fight till really the beginning of 2021.
Okay.
But it's sometimes hard when you get offered something just not to be like, oh, might as well. But you know what? I still just, you know, had the restraint and I just wasn't into it, honestly. I didn't have the motivation to take a fight in December or November, which we're in now. I kind of looked at the at it and I said, well, why would I be fighting? Like, I didn't have a why. I didn't have a reason, like what, to make a check before the end of the year, fine with that. To do this, have fun, to do, like I didn't really just have a why. So I was like, you know what? Well, I'm just gonna wait until I really do, till I want to like I miss it, till I'm having fun doing it. And yeah, so I was actually just talking, good timing. I was just talking to my manager probably 2 days ago, and he was asking me, he said, hey, well, now they're booking fights around the time you want to, like February, even March. Like, are you interested then? And I said, yeah, I think that should be a good time.
Joseph, let me ask you something. You've pretty much been a contender for the last decade or so, but like when you know that a title shot is looming or whatever, and you're in that like pole position, was it still fun for you to be a professional mixed martial artist, or did that whole consumption of, people like me and others talking about the belt and this and DJ and whoever back in the day, did that take it away from the fun that you have? Because I've always seen you and categorized you as a fighter that goes out there and he's having a blast and he's living the dream,
No, yeah, and you're right. I mean, I always had fun, and I always told myself I wouldn't really, do it if I wasn't having fun. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And, I'm waiting for that. Oh, well, am I still having fun? You know what? I wouldn't have fun in December, maybe wait and start to miss training and enjoy it a little more, miss what I'm doing, and now, get into something, have fun. And and when I'm not, I won't be fine anymore. So yeah, no, it didn't take away. I think it was really the opposite. It gave me something, it gave me hope, on top of having fun. Cause fighting, you got to kind of like it, I think, to do it. It's something you can't be like, oh, this isn't good. And then you have to go in there cause it's so hard, that you kind of you almost have to make it fun in regard to, but being up there, like you're talking, in like a pole position for a title fight at all times, it also kind of gave me like hope to go along with that fun. Like I always had something, even when I lost, like my last title fight, I knew, oh, I just got to win a few fights, in between. It ended up being like 9 out of 10 fights, which was fine. But like I knew the title was always there and I could get back to it. And now that's really what's different, and what I'm kind of, I think, struggling with is like why, like that's not there anymore. And that wasn't, the only reason I'm fighting, but that was like the hopeful part of it all for me. And now I know it's just different because I've been in one position all my life, and now I have to be in a whole nother one of a whole nother category. Like I know there's a good percentage of fighters in the UFC that kind of have to think, hey, I'm probably never going to get a title, but this is my job. And, at least I'm having fun and doing what I love. And it's like, shoot, I never really knew how that felt because I always had something here on the horizon. But then like that part kind of dies. And then you're just kind of like, all right, well, now left, I got to adapt to being, this and just doing it for this reason. And, and it's different, so that's honestly why I wasn't 100% motivated at the beginning either.
I was going to ask you something similar to this. For as long as I've ever known you, you're probably the most focused person I've ever met. No matter what it is you're doing, whatever it is at the time, you're focused on that. And if I ask you about something else, you'll answer it because you're a nice guy, but I know you're really focused on that. And even if it's drawing a picture or whatever, I know he's drawing a picture. Don't ask him about fighting because he's drawing a picture, right?
That's so funny because that's so right with anything. And if you lived with me, you would even like, you know, this just by knowing me a little bit. If you live with me, you'd know even more. Megan always, if I'm talking about something, we start talking, I'll just bring that back up or exactly what I'm doing. And she's just like, we were talking about something totally different, but you just wanted it. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Well, so what I was going to ask you was later on in life, whatever it is you end up doing past MMA, because you're going to be doing that, I know you're going to love it and I know you're going to be focused on it. Would you still at any point, though, miss MMA? Did it become that big of a part of your life? Or is whatever in front of you what you're focused on the most?
Yeah, that's different. And, you know, that's like a great analysis and question. Well, on me and me as a person, which is funny because that's so true. But even with going to doing something after, it's like that's also like a great analysis because like I'm going to do something like I love for sure. And like I've worked so hard during this time to afford myself to do something that I actually like and have fun with, not just like, oh my God, like I fought for a little while and didn't save any money and wasn't successful. Now I got to rush into a job of doing this, you know? So yeah, I don't know. No, I think, I think when I'm done with it, I mean, I can't predict how I'm going to feel, but I think honestly, when I'm done with it, that I won't really miss it because I know I have to move on to something else and I'll put my full focus in that. And, you know, I don't know. It's good, but like now looking back at it, it was like, it's freaking, you know, I mean, it's obviously always going to be a good memory and who I was and the good times I had in it. But I was like, I won't miss like how hard it was, you know. And I'm not talking like physically, just like how hard it was like on me. Um, so I don't know, it might be kind of nice, honestly. You know, I'll like think I'll like reminisce and stuff, but I don't think I would be like, oh man, like I miss feeling this and that because I don't know. I'm hoping not, but like those hard parts, like those are the ones that are gonna like maybe it's just me, but like maybe those are the ones that are gonna like stick with me. Like I don't take time, and I think I never did to look at like a victory or this and that because it was just kind of supposed to happen. You know, always that's what I trained for and expected. But it's like the hard parts that you know stay with you. So I hope. I mean, maybe that's gonna be how it is too. Like I'm gonna look back, I'm gonna think of like the harder parts, not just like all the great ones. And I don't know. I think I don't know why I kind of do think like that, but it's just I mean maybe it's just nature in me. Like I said, I expected myself to win, you know, the times I did and even the times I lost. So and it's kind of like those comments like, you know, and if you're on social media or something, you don't think about the 100 guys that were like, hey, you're cool. You think about like the one guy that said, hey, you're a piece of junk or whatever. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'll the hope is I find something that I love so much that, you know, I don't need to reminisce. But you never know. It could have something to do with fighting as well, you know? So it could be right there at the forefront. And I don't think it would be anything as far as like a coaching or anything involved necessarily that way, but maybe a little bit, you know, in the background doing stuff, building the sport around, you know, even trying to do something for the company and making an impact, continuing to make an impact, you know, in MMA in my own way, not necessarily, hey, here's me coaching or doing seminars or the normal thing. But I got actually quite a few ideas I would like to work moving the sport forward if I could work for the company.
Hey, you want to know my prediction?
What's that?
All right. This is what I think is going to happen with you.
Okay.
When you read a book, you don't love chapter 7. And then when you're on chapter 9 going, man, chapter 7 was great, wasn't it? I wish I could reread that. You just kind of focus on the next chapter and then you get excited for the next one. I think you'll kind of look back at the early chapters and you'll always appreciate them. But I just think you're going to be engulfed in whatever the next chapter is, right? Yeah. And then overall, just that's what builds the book, right? So yeah. I think you're just going to be engulfed in whatever's next. And I think that's great. But I did want to ask you this. You've been so open with your life and everything you've gone through in your life. Can you give me one thing that surprised you about yourself along this way, on this journey?
Honestly, every day I'm surprised Megan's my wife. I wake up and I'm just like, are you still into this? You know? And like I see her on TV and I see her doing all this cool stuff, and like especially like the last few months when she has been doing a lot of cool stuff, like during the pandemic and all this stuff, like being a complete stud, that's been kind of like, you know, my hardest times where I'm just like sitting here doing like nothing. And you know, every time she comes back from something and, you know, she's in her makeup and clothes and coming from TV, and I'm just like you're not here to like, you know, like you still love me. And like, you know, sure enough. So that's actually pretty surprising. The first thing that comes to mind, because it does. But it's funny because it's like a ton of things like that though. If I really had to think about it, like when I sit there and I even just kind of like wake up in my house and like jump on the phone with you guys and I'm making coffee on like a real coffee machine. I don't know. And I sit in my kitchen, like I'm kind of like, how the heck did I get here? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I honestly have times like that all the time. I'll talk to someone on the internet and they're cool, and I'll be like, all right, well, this is weird. Like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm outside of my body, kind of like, you know, looking sometimes. So like, honestly, all that stuff really surprises me. Other than that, like, I don't know. Maybe I can't think too hard right now, but the other stuff that surprises me goes back to like the other stuff that we were talking about. Like, sadly, I don't know what it says about me, but like, it's the bad stuff that surprises me. Like, I'm actually surprised I lost in this way to this guy or something. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff surprises me. When I do something good, I guess I'm still surprised too. Like I said, like I'm surprised I've made it this far and I have this and I have that and all of that kind of stuff. But in a way it's like a nice like gratitude thing. The other things that didn't happen, like I'm surprised I was never a world champion, like stuff like that. Like that's surprising, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, the biggest one I guess is just my life in general. It's kind of surprising. Like exactly like you said, with everything that I have been through, or you know, whatever everyone's gone through stuff, you know, I still sit here surprised sometimes that you know, I guess I've done in general what I've done.
I'm going to share a time that I was upset with you, and this was just a couple days ago.
Beautiful.
But this tends to happen with us because you're one of the most difficult interviews for me, not because the way you answer questions or anything like that. I always get so hungry when I see your face because it usually revolves around some kind of food that we're talking about or something.
Yeah.
And the other day, I was too lazy to go to the store.
Okay.
So I just made kind of like a simple sandwich. And as I was eating it, you were chowing down on this pizza that looked so amazing. And you know how expensive phones were? I almost threw my phone against the wall.
Really?
So good. Where did you get that pizza? And was it good?
How long ago? A few days ago?
No, I think it was when Megan came back.
So like very recently?
Yeah, very recently.
Oh yeah, that is a nice little, it's kind of like a little secret pizza place. It's called Pizza Anonymous. And I'm glad that's why you're mad and it's not something bad. I take, you know, like we were talking earlier, like that's one of my passions too, is like just food in general. can you turn that into something that you're so engulfed in? Like if I want to eat somewhere, I'm going to get it, I'm going to talk about it. I'm like obsessed with it. Anyway, it's a secret pizza place. It's on Flamingo, in a donut shop called Saint Honor, but the pizza place is called Pizza Anonymous. And yeah, it's really good. It's when the donut shop closes, the pizza opens at 5. Real nice, like small menu. They have 3 pizzas, like a cheese, pepperoni, vegetable, and then they have a special every month. This month's was great. Last month's was great. It was like a truffle. This month is like a burrata, prosciutto, honey kind of pizza. But they're really, really good pizza. Pizza Anonymous on Flamingo. You can pick up or delivery. They're good. And my other pizza place that rivals it is a place called Pizzeria Manzu, which I think is actually probably maybe my favorite. Yeah, but Manzu and Anonymous. But yeah, I'm glad I could help you with that after, I pissed you off with it.
Yeah. Let's go back to those ideas. You said you had some possible ideas for the promotion. Is there any you could share with us?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was things. I want to talk to one more thing about the Pizza Anonymous.
Sure.
Old World pepperoni, those little like crispy, like round discs. So those are delicious. But their cheese blend is incredible. It's smoked. It's like a smoked mozzarella and provolone. So the cheese is kind of like smoked. Oh, it's good. I recommend you guys try it. Pizza Anonymous. Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is stuff I talked about like a while back even, that I would like to do. Which is like, I mean, I have a lot of things I would like to do. Like, you remember I had Dapper Scrappers, and then the pandemic happened, right? So that was cool, but I would even like that to take like, like I was kind of doing that on my own, and I think it would be really cool to like work with the UFC to do it and make, stuff like that a little more the forefront is like, why aren't some of these pay-per-views a little bigger of an event? They're like, when I was doing this, I realized guest fighters show up to the fight and they're just there, like no one knows they're there. They go in with tickets, they sit in their stands, they leave, no one says anything, there's no media availability, no anything, no pictures of them, but we could really make it an event, like some kind of red carpet, UFC 260, these guys on there at the same time, make them human, taking a picture of them, make them celebrity because they're on a red carpet, take pictures of them, give media availability, hey, what are you doing at this fight? What are you looking forward to? I got teammates. When's your next thing? All that kind of stuff, bring it in. So I always think about like little things like that is like, how can we make it more, I guess the easiest way to say is like mainstream cultural, but like human. Because that's my whole thing is like always been to be like more than a fighter. Like we're all fighters, but like everyone, you guys know from interviewing everyone is like everyone is their own like individual, and that's what the world. I have like a ton of just little things like that I'm interested in that I would like to kind of like somehow spread to the forefront. So like a bit of Dapper Scrappers, but like extending that to like making it bigger. But my main thing would be working kind of like as a like I guess liaison between the outfitting and the company, so like be in the middle, because right now it's like a company like Reebok and a company like UFC, and they're making clothes for fighters, but there's no one with the fighter, the say in between that, so almost kind of like, yeah, like kind of a liaison through that, like help with the outfitting, like, hey, you are making all these clothes and bags and fight kits and everything for fighters. Well, I to be, know this and, think I know a little bit about just, a general like aesthetic for a walkout or an athlete to have for the brand or whatever, and kind of like help him outfitter. So I think that's something that, like, looking back at like the Reebok deal, like we really could have used a lot, like an eye that, or like from that. So maybe something like that, and then through that, I could really do that for so many different companies, is kind of be for different departments. I think I could be the in between. You know what I mean? Like this is a fighter with experience that knows what other fighters want, feel, need, and we're kind of working like A to B for, the fighter in between, but with no, talk to them in between. So kind of just maybe like even like an in between liaison for like all the UFC departments, because I get along with so much of the staff anyway, and talk to them every time I see them. They're family, because Megan works. So, half of them were at our wedding and stuff. So, I could do some stuff like that, and
these are all good ideas, but I want to focus in on the one that you were talking about, because you're right. This should be more of an event. Fight night should be more an event. I think boxing sometimes, especially the bigger events, sometimes outshines UFC when they kind of do a little bit of the roll call for celebrities. I love the red carpet idea. That's something that One Championship's done that they do very well. And are you saying like you're just the idea guy, or would you want to have maybe some sort of a Mario Lopez role on Fight Night where you're actually involved in that part?
Yeah, I've thought about that as well. I've thought about the same thing. Like, hey, well, if I am doing all this stuff, sometimes it's easier just to do it like bring your idea, out, not rely on someone else to do it. So yeah, I could take it in that route too. I think that could be really good. I have a ton of like little show ideas, and they all revolve around MMA. If you guys know me, like, I love entertainment, and I think the fighter, like, I want minor things, but I have a ton of other interests that are pretty general and broad in a sense. Between food, movies, music, all that kind of stuff that, like, a little. So a ton of ideas that could, that I feel like bring fighters those ideas to the forefront as well, like on top of like the fashion and stuff like that. So just little shows and stuff that even I could like small little mini like host or produce. I got a ton of ideas like that. I obviously have my wife as well, so we could work as a team and just bring just a different side, I think. But yeah, the Dapper Scrappers thing, which being really transforming into just making the event bigger, not necessarily Dapper Scrappers. Like, I did Dapper Scrappers because I had to, because no one else was doing it. But like I said, like, I'm out there, fishing for guys, trying to find them, they're coming out of the bathroom. I want to take a picture of them. Like, why not? Yeah. Why not give these guys that are going to the event, like, some publicity?
Yep.
You're going there, hey guys, we have, whoever arriving now. If you guys want to talk to them, you can leave from the media, or they can go through the media room or something like that. On top of it, selfishly, for my own idea that I was doing, is like, at the same time, we see what they wear, what these guys bring, who they have on their arm, take some pictures of them. All those pictures go out, and therefore, like, our sport now looks serious. Oh, those guys on a red carpet. Oh, they're getting interviewed. They're dressed. They must be important, because that's what tells you the person's important. Like, you see someone on a red carpet being interviewed, you're like, oh, well, they're serious. You know what I mean? So just make the events like that a little more serious. So sometimes I go to the events and I'm like, oh my God, there is like that fighter, just like sitting in the bleachers over there and like using the bathroom on the main corridor. But no one knows they're here. Why are they here? Like, oh, they're wearing a cool outfit. Like, let's check them out.
Nice. I love it, man. But like you said, you're not done fighting yet. So I suppose we will focus on that.
But like, I like February or March next year, I think would be the best time for me.
Actually, now that I think about it, you could do both. Really, you could get this idea started because I love it, man. I mean, granted, the UFC is probably going to lead the way, like they have in many ways in the comeback for sports. When we come back from the pandemic and we have events, there's a beautiful limo drop-off area at the T-Mobile that could create that red carpet experience. So I'm already picturing it as you're talking about it. I think you got a home run there. But Joseph, February or March, you're going to get these questions anyway. But when you come back, I mean, tell us, how do you still feel like you fit within the UFC flyweight division? What are your goals? I don't believe that you wake up any day not thinking that you still won't be a world champion before you retire, but you tell me.
No, that honestly, like, it's a tough thing because I do wake up every day knowing like I'm good enough to be a world champion, and I could be, but at the same time, like, that part of me has been kind of like, oh shit, well, that was probably my last title fight ever, and I don't really have the luxury right now to put on a 9 I did in between the last fight. So it's a different thing. Like I was telling you earlier, like that always provided me hope my whole career on top of the fun. But now it's like I almost just have to, concentrate on the fun and me just loving it. Where before, it was easy. And, if they offered me a fight, I knew it was yes, because this is a step towards that, hope that I have. But, that honestly, to be completely honest, like that's not 100% there anymore, and I can always look at the division and think, oh, well, there's some weird stuff going on right now with a win over Perez and him fighting for the title right now. But
Exactly. That's exactly it.
I just don't really think into that as much right now. I realize, like, I thought of the last title fight and I thought, like, hey, that was my last title fight. Now it's time to, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like that part of me really did like die with it and the hope part was gone, where maybe some other people see it, but maybe, in my mind, I just think, like that was my last fight. And we'll see what happens. So, as far as fitting in, like I don't see like a special part in there, I'll always still be like the longest, reigning guy and the person who was in the first UFC title fight and the first flyweight fight in general. But other than that, it's really like it's completely about what I said, is just going out there and having fun and competing. Like that's my place, is just, actually being an athlete and just doing that. Like,
well, you got a ton of skins on your wall. I've told you this from the beginning. Going back to WEC and UFC, you have beaten a lot of contenders. You've crushed, a lot of other people that were putting themselves in the position that you were lucky enough to put yourself in. And that all comes around, man. And I'm telling you, you've probably heard this already, but guys like Michael Bisping, he just kept winning. He was in the right spot at the right time. Frankie Edgar, he just kept winning. Alistair Overeem, Dan Henderson, a lot of these fighters that have had the longevity like you have, that have beaten other top-notch guys in highly contested matchups, because of that longevity and always being ready, you can always still be in a position to win a world title. So as long as you still wake up thinking you can be a world champion, you still can, my man. I know this is. Oh, hey, Megan.
Like what you were saying. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there you go. Just keep waking up with that dream, and in the meantime, there's nothing you can do at this moment other than enjoy 2020. We got holidays coming up. Then you get yourself up for the next camp, and then you just hover and you keep winning, and you hover and you keep winning, because I'm telling you, followed this sport for a long time, and a lot of people have put themselves in that type of position. Look at the resurgence of Robbie Lawler, man. That guy was with UFC a long time ago, and then he went through Icon, he went through Elite XC, Strike Force, then he comes back, boom, you know what I mean? So
all that helps a ton. And like I said, like sometimes as an individual, it's hard to be there for you, but like when you hear stuff, it kind of builds, especially in the home every day, from you guys. And like I said, like I'll wake up and I'll go into that whatever fight I may have thinking, hey, I'm the best in the world. I'm just going to show it on this guy, whether he's number 4 or number 3 or whatever. I still feel like I'm the best in the world. I'm going to go in with that every day. I'm going to train every day with, that notion and that confidence in my mind. But just like the belt is a thing. I've just, like I said, like I just felt like, damn it, that was my last time when I got to do it. But there is some weird stuff happening when it comes to that, we'll see how it goes. But, than that, I just enjoy the life part of it. And now fighting's a part of my life. It's not my total life. So I'm just like, hey, I'll do all this. And when the fight comes, I'll concentrate on that and do it. But, yeah. But like I said, that part's always there, waking up and knowing, like, here's another chance for me to prove I'm the best, even if it's not for the belt exactly. But, I'll always go into a fight like that. But, I just don't know if that's there yet. But you never know.
Okay. I want to close with this. This weekend, a legend of the sport is fighting in the octagon for the last time, Anderson Silva. And I wanted to ask you, since you're pretty good at, this type of introspective type of thinking, is there a word that comes to mind when you think of Anderson Silva? And do you have a favorite memory of watching Anderson Silva perform?
Not necessarily a word, because what's so brutal about MMA is it's a sport of short memory. You only remember the last things that someone did. You don't remember, oh, that was their last fight. You don't remember the 10 before that or something. So with Anderson, I hate to say it, but like in my own mind, sometimes I think, man, this is another casualty of the sport, of somebody, fighting too long, and which you necessarily do see in MMA, because the only way, to know you're not supposed to fight anymore is like, to not be able to fight anymore, to get beat up or whatever. And, you see that all too often in the sport. So unfortunately, I do think of some of those last things first. But when you ask the question and I can be introspective and look back at him, like his run was incredible. And I remember when Anderson Silva was fighting, one memory for me is just thinking like that he was literally like possessed and like somehow sold his soul to the devil because he was that good. like it was one of those things where like you see people fight in movies and like people like say like, oh, well, this guy can do this, and if he touches you, like you'll die. And like real like martial arts like legends. And that's what I remember looking at him like, is like, wow, like this guy's not a fighter. Like he's one of those like masters in there, like doing whatever he wants. And then I just remember after one of the fights, like I think it was Forrest Griffin, where he did that and just looked like he was out there. I was like, wow, like this guy like sold his soul somehow and made a deal, and he's like possessed out there, and it's like witchcraft. And I literally thought that when he was like moving and doing whatever he wanted. So yeah, that's what I remember, just for the first time, like thinking like, wow, this is like that dude like from Kill Bill or something. You know what I mean? Like those like karate masters that like, or that you hear about in movies that like can just hit you with their thumb and like move out of the way.
Yeah.
Like this is like an actual one of those, but like fighting with like regular dudes that are just like fighters. And yeah, so I remember him like, yeah, I don't know how he did that, how he made like the deal with the devil, but like he sold his soul to be like the greatest ever, because that's literally what I thought.